Let's bring in News 13 legal analyst Mark NeJame, who is standing by right now. And Mark, talk to us a little bit about what we've been seeing with George Zimmerman. He appears to be being just a little bit more active in these proceedings.
Yeah, it's probably one of two things. First day jitters. Remember, the man's looking at spending the rest of his life in prison with a mandatory minimum of 25 years if convicted of this charge, so it's very reasonable that one is going to be pretty stoic and pretty frightened. But also, it's entirely possible that that's his personality. We don't really know. And his lawyers talked to him afterwards, and they said, look, you need to loosen up a little bit. Those jurors are watching you. They're reading you. They're watching your body language no different than we're watching theirs. And you need to show that you're more of a human. You need to show that you smile and that you talk to us and you're not some sort of robot sitting up there. Because remember, these jurors are going to be deciding his fate in large part. And so you want that person to be more human-like. You want them, the jurors, to understand that he's a breathing, living human being and that they can have some empathy and or sympathy for him at some point. So it could be a combination of both, but those are the likely reasons.
Mark, you have done your fair share of big trials all the time. I'm always curious from the attorney standpoint. I know you are primarily a defense attorney, where you are a defense attorney. Well, how do you think these attorneys are preparing right now? Are they just tunnel vision on getting this jury selected, or are they also looking at the big picture and also preparing for opening statements and further along the line in this case?
Well, look, preparation for any jury trial is an awful lot of work. My firm, we have personal injury division, criminal division, immigration, civil, whatever it is, you're working it. You're working it very, very hard. Trials are exhausting. You don't just wake up in the morning and then walk into the courtroom and then finish at 5 o'clock. You're preparing in the morning, you're preparing throughout the day. When there's breaks, you're checking your witness list, you're checking all the things you need to do, and then you're working until the night, and you're truly exhausted. And it just completely, a case like this completely takes everything away from your family, from any other clients that you might have at the time. Your other social business obligations. This type of case is all-consuming. In fact, it's one reason that I turned the case down a couple of times, because I've got young children and I just didn't want to spend a year away from them, and it does consume you that way if you're doing a good job and you have very skilled lawyers on both sides here. Bernie De La Ronda has a great reputation as far as being a fierce litigator. Mark O'Mara, Don West, they're well known as far as their skill sets, and they're excellent advocates. So you really have a very, very strong team on both sides, and they're working. You don't get that way by luck, just waking up in the morning and hopping into a courtroom. You're there by endless preparation for years, and then you use that cumulative experience each following case. And so people just have no idea of how exhausting it is. Just the asking of questions to the potential jurors and going through all that. You're exhausted by day's end because you're thinking constantly, you're going back and forth, you're reviewing your notes. It just drains you. There's just no other way to say it.
I can imagine. I remember when Mark O'Mara was asking for a delay in the trial, he said, you can ask my wife. She will tell you that I do not want to prolong this process any longer. It is definitely a lot of work. All right, Mark, stand by for us. We'll be back with you with more analysis in just a bit.